Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Van Balgoy, CEO of YZymes, and today I'm here to share the YZymes story with you. But before getting into what we do, I'd first like to tell you why we are on this path. Over my 30-year career in the chemical industry, I've always trusted voice of customer for guiding my decisions, and certainly no different this time. I recently spoke with a number of companies around the globe who are in the business of using biomass for making everyday products that we all use. And I'd like to share with you one very insightful discussion that I had with Dr. Eero Pulkkinen from Arauco's Innovation Group. He told me that their investor groups were strongly suggesting that they include more biomaterials into their product mix. And why was that? Well, Eero told me that no less than 15 to 20% of their biomass residues just ended up getting burned, or even worse, landfilled. They actually incurred costs just to get rid of it. And this was the very same biomass that YZymes process could have converted. Now, Arauco is not a little mom and pop operation. They happen to be the largest forestry company in the world. And Ira's story really convinced me that YZymes is exactly at the right place, at the right time, with the right tech. And that's why I'm here at YZymes. With Emma and Tu as co-founders, I'm thankful that YZymes has real horsepower on the technology front. Not only are they the inventors of this technology, they are also internationally recognized for their research on biomass valorization. And this helps establish instant credibility during the technology discussions that we have had over the last year with a number of different companies. As for myself, I have about 3 decades of marketing and business experience in the chemical industry, including biotech. I'm really looking forward to growing YZymes into a meaningful company, no different at all from what we did with EcoSynthetix back in 2011, where we raised north of 100 million US dollars, which was the largest clean tech IPO in TSX history at that time. So picture this opportunity. Worldwide, we have about $120 billion of crop and forest residues that are burned in the open environment each and every year. Now, if this resource was used in a productive way, it could create a $10 billion market globally. In Canada alone, residues from forestry and ag businesses generate about 100 million tons of underutilized biomass each year. Really staggering numbers. And as I'm showing here, bio-based materials will contribute more than $500 billion US by 2025. And we're on a mission to make sure that YZymes gets its fair share of this very large opportunity. So now let's talk about what YZymes actually does. We are launching a patented enzymatic process for converting biomass residues into xylitol and glucaric acid. These two products are used in multi-billion-dollar high-growth markets like food sweeteners, detergents, corrosion inhibitors, and de-icing agents. Now we know that there are other biorefineries producing commodity biochemicals and biofuels, but none of these lead to high-value and differentiated glucaric acid. Companies are now being motivated more than ever to set up biorefineries to find every little bit of extractable value from their biomass. And by motivated, that means they can either be pushed there through federal carbon taxes and regulations, or be pulled there by new customer trends. Remember I said that this was the right time for YZymes? Well, today's regulations are banning nasty chemicals like phosphate binders in detergents. Consumers want to use more natural and sustainable products. So both xylitol and glucaric acid end products coming from YZymes bioprocess will give companies and consumers much better options. Our partners will have 3 key reasons for wanting to adopt YZymes process technology. First, we create value. Our biorefinery customers will be upgrading their biomass waste, turning waste into something that is profitably sold for $2,500 to $3,000 per ton just makes good business sense. Second big benefit is simplicity of use. The secret sauce behind YZymes process is all buried in the enzyme package itself. Nature does all of the heavy lifting on the chemistry side. Our customers just need to install the tanks and plumbing for our dual enzyme system. So it's really easy to implement and directly scalable to the amount of available feedstock. The third big benefit is that we're creating better solutions for a sustainable world. Let's stop burning or landfilling biomass waste. Let's just use smarter chemistry to our advantage. The technology is here. Of course, we do have competitors. Fortunately, though, YZymes is very well placed to compete against them, and here's why. Process yield and feedstock costs are the two things that will make or break profit margins. Now let's consider feedstocks first. Both ADM and Kalian use glucose as their starting point. That's bad for them, but great news for YZymes. And that's because glucose is used in food applications and costs around $400 per ton. Compare that to the biomass residues that YZymes would use, zero cost biomass waste. And so what about yield? Both ADM and Kalian have complicated processes that net out at about sub 40% yield from glucose. The YZymes process generates 60% yield from xylan waste streams. Better bottom line margins for every ton of biomass residue that we convert. So having these two competitors is not really a bad thing for YZymes. They should in fact be highly motivated to support higher product prices given their process limitations. YZymes is running its process scale-up plans with two strategic Canadian biorefineries. We are creating strong working relationships with Fortress. They generate many tons of forest residues and are very interested in providing us with access to their pilot-scale bioreactors to prove out our technology. We're also working closely with IGPC Ethanol, who also produce thousands of tons of spent corn mash from their bioethanol production. At the same time, we are creating significant interest from 3 global enzyme suppliers, like YZymes. Our business model is quite straightforward. We are developing multiple entry points with large companies across the value chain. All of those players that I mentioned, Fortress, IGPC, and YZymes, will have strong economic benefits for adopting YZymes process. So let's talk about our go-to-market approach. YZymes will make money in several different ways. First, we will set up technology licensing agreements for YZymes process with numerous biorefineries in the forest and ag sectors. This is essentially a pure profit stream for us that will be running as long as our licensees operate their facilities. Second, we will create a JV with one strategic enzyme supplier, ideally YZymes. This channel is geared towards producing and delivering our secret sauce to the licensees. Third, we will create revenues from technical services that we provide during scale-up. Also, for support in commercializing the sale of the bioproducts. With these combined revenue streams, we are expecting to triple year-over-year sales growth during this decade. So far, we are tracking to raise about $500,000 of non-dilutive funding by year-end, and we are seeking VC funding of $970,000 for an equity stake in YZymes. With this funding, we will be driving our two highest priorities. First, completing our pilot scale evaluations, and second, driving customer engagement. To accelerate our customer engagement, we will be bringing on 2 new talented hires in 2022. Of course, our next generation product planning is critical for YZymes. And over the coming 2 years, we'll be developing a suite of enzymatic process technologies for other strategic biochemicals. For biotech, our timeline is quite aggressive. Key patents have already been filed, and we've completed our market assessment with target customers to understand what they need. We're nicely lining up our non-dilutive funding support, and of course, we're really looking forward to having follow-up discussions with you regarding potential seed funding. 2022 is going to be our year of transformation. Starting in January, we'll be driving our industrial scale-up trials at 10 times the previous scale. We'll be launching our customer engagement plans in the second half of the year. Our 2 development partners, Fortress and IGPC, are expected to become our first 2 technology licensees in 2023. And we'll also be formalizing the business relationship with YZymes as our preferred strategic global enzyme partner. With everything that we have underway, we're building a really solid foundation for YZymes to be successful. And that, in a nutshell, is the YZymes story. Thank you very much for considering investment in YZymes, and of course, we would be very pleased to address any questions that you may have. Thanks again.